Ooh, this is where I can do the combat tutorial or whatever. Because I think, yeah, I fight this thing. Okay, so the first part about this is I have to show my gear. Because the most important thing about this, my gear setup, is the wolf helm, the Mane of Pride, which you can actually, or the lion helm, whatever it is, you can actually get this on the starting island, so you can use this strategy and any strategies that I talk about in new game. Nice, what is this?
It's a nose, I think.
Very nice. But like it's like really close to the spawn, so you can just like jump off, like I think it's a treasure chest in the water. You just jump off, get this, and then you use this strategy for the rest of the game. This 100, I think it starts at 150% bonus damage against unharmed enemies. This is the biggest buff, like damage buff in the game. It's bigger than all of the upgrades to your weapons. Well, I mean not the base level upgrades, but any like weapon upgrades, any masteries, this is way bigger buff than any of that stuff. So it allows you to pretty much one hit everything. It also increases stun against unharmed enemies, and the ability that is the most important, as you can see that your basic attack does about 263 damage per hit. And I have some masteries here, so those numbers are increased, but you know, it does around like 200 something damage. Axe does 300 damage, so it's a little bit more of a heavy hit, but this is that doing the axe is more about the stun, because it does 670 stun. Using the sword does no stun. So if you're trying to stun stuff, use the axe. If you're trying to do quick damage to it, use the sword. Well, if you're trying to fill up your stamina, use the sword. But if you're trying to do damage to something, these numbers are a fucking pittance. Like even a headshot, which does double damage from a bow, does like 600 damage or something. But let's look at godly powers here. Godly powers use stamina. I think yeah, Athena's dash uses 5, or uses, I'm trying to remember how much stamina they all use. I think they all use around 4 stamina chunks. But Hephaestus's hammer does 2,002 damage. This is with some masteries, of course. So it does like, I think it does like 1,800 damage or something like that. And that's like, you know, what, 5 times as much as the sword does. But the big thing is charging up Hephaestus's hammer. If you charge it up, it goes up to 4,000 damage. And if you fully charge it, or you get the improved charge, which does cost 10 coins, which is probably too expensive for new game. But at least in New Game Plus, you can already have this unlocked, and it does 5,000 damage, which is well over 10 times any other attack in the game. And if you combine this with the Mane of Pride, which does 220% bonus damage, so over 3 times your base damage, then that means you will be doing somewhere roughly around 15, 17, 16,000 damage for your first attack. Yeah, we end with 0 coins in any percent. We get exactly enough. Yeah, so, but even without the charged, or like the double charged, you can still at the very least use the base Hephaestus hammer. You can use this for puzzle skips, so you'll be getting it anyway. It does 2,000 damage, and there's only 8 coins for the charged one, so there might be something that you could swap out for this, because it does double the damage. But either way, the base combat, or idea of combat, is you want to make sure he doesn't take any damage. So don't do your like quick dodge or anything, but just come up here, they'll just stand for you, and bam, he's dead. 1 hit, he's gone. And that's basically every combat encounter in the game. For the very, very tough ones, or the very, very long ones, there aren't really tough enemy encounters. But for longer ones, you want to do stun. I'll find a guy that I can show this off with. But basically, if you look at the stun numbers for all of your abilities, the axe, or what was it? The axe does, what, 600 stun? Yeah, 670 stun per hit. And that's a fine baseline, right? But if you really want to stun something, obviously you'll be using a godly power. Which godly power does the most stun? Athena's dash does fine stun, but the most stun is Ares' Wrath, which does 2,700 stun, and that's just for the base. If you use the charged one, and especially the improved charged one, it does 8,000 stun. and that number is actually improved by some of the gear that we get. I'm trying to remember, is it the chest? I mean, obviously the helm increases stun on the first attack, but a lot of times you'll be stunning on your, like, some other attack other than your first. But either way, 8,000 stun is significantly more stun than any other attack in the game. It's well over like 10 times as much stun as a single axe hit. So if you want to go up and stun something, you pretty much just run at them, hold it until the spike pops up, and bam, anything is instantly stunned. From there, you can just use your normal sword attack to build up your stamina meter. You want to pretty much just use sword attacks if they have lots of health left, because you want to max out your stamina so that you can re-stun them as soon as they become unstunned. Just use your spikes again. If you think they're relatively close to dying, then once again the fastest damage method in the game is the charged hammer. For aerial enemies, I don't know if I can find any. There's one. For aerial enemies like these birds, most of the time the most effective way of killing them is to just parry their attack, because with the helmet, it triples the damage of the parry. Most of the time, even the highest level ones get killed in one hit. If for some reason they get damaged and you can't do that, or they're just like not using it on you, then the leap is another really good method of quickly dispatching enemies. And when you have enemies in a group like this, the normal Hephaestus hammer should be enough to immediately kill them. I think this even works in New Game. As long as you have the helmet, you do 2.5 times damage on your first hit, which does like over 3,000 damage. Actually, I think it's like it's almost like 4,000 damage. Just from a single Hephaestus hammer hit. And of course that uses 4 bars of stamina, but since we're on story mode, our stamina comes back pretty quick. And at the very worst case scenario is you don't kill, there are some people around that you don't kill, you just slap them with your sword to build your stamina back up, and then just keep Hephaestus's hammering them. And that pretty much deals with every single combat encounter in the game. The very last boss is kind of an exception, because your brother, I can't remember his name. Liechtenstein? Liberion? Liposuction. Whatever his name is, he can be stunned. So even though it's a long combat encounter, you probably won't be able to one-hit him. You can just stun him with the powered-up spikes. Typhon cannot be one-shot. So in that specific encounter... Oh my god, I pushed the wrong button. In that specific encounter, you have to not use the wolf helmet. And in that instance, because there are several phases, during each of the phase, or like after each cutscene, your stamina gets completely restored to full. So you can pretty much just run in there, use charged Hephaestus's hammer, or even just like slam down Hephaestus's hammer a few times, and you should be able to pretty quickly get to the next phase. And in that fight, you want to be using the one-eyed giant helm, because it gives you plus 34% damage against unique enemies, which is Typhon. If for some reason you can't get the one-eyed giant helm, there's one somewhere. I think it's one of these. Yeah, this one. The Helm of Ethereal Automation gives you plus 34% damage with Hephaestus's hammer, which is where you're going to be getting most of your damage from anyway. Ligerion, yes, that's his name. Yeah. I need to look into that helmet. That could be worth the time to grab it. Yeah. And like I said, as long as I think helmets always spawn in the same place. I believe I got the first version of this helm on the default island. It's like in a chest, like right in front of the statue. It's like right in the middle of the clashing rocks or whatever it's called. I don't have the map unrevealed, but it's like right in the middle. So it should be pretty easy to get, even in new game. And I think that is what we're going to. This should be the primary strategy for pretty much every enemy encounter in the game. We should be able to get through pretty much everything just by using these strategies. So, thumbs up.